Hello, everybody. Hey, my name is Bill O'Leary, and I am live now, and it's part of our weekly series. I go live every week. If you're new to this, called our Thirsty Thursday series, and with that series, I go live every week for the most part on Thursdays. Talk about a different topic I come across in my line of work. I'm an attorney. I focus on estate planning, things like wills and trusts and powers of attorney, all that good stuff, estates, elder law, and a lot of probate work, navigating the probate court system. My firm is Legacy Planning Law Group in Jacksonville, Florida. So let's get started. If you're thirsting for knowledge, you've come to the right place. So I want to talk about today a little bit of a technical topic, but I'm going to make it understandable. But it's a question we get asked. So, do you have to pay capital gains tax on property or an asset that you inherit? So let's break it down. So when you inherit property or an asset, think like a house or stocks, the property is usually worth more than it was when the deceased person that you inherited from when they originally bought it. So if you then were to sell the property, there could be capital gains taxes, which could cost you thousands of dollars. So let's first define what the heck is capital gain. Capital gain, it's a tax concept, and capital gain is measured as the difference between the basis in the property and what it is later sold for. So, what does the term basis mean? The basis usually is what you paid for it, okay, the purchase price of the property. So, let me give you a simple example. Let's say you bought a house for $250,000, 250, and then you later sell it for $450,000. Well, you would have a gain of $200,000, which is the 450,000 you sold it for minus the 250,000 that you originally paid for it, your basis in the property. Okay. Now, while the price that you originally bought for the house is your starting basis, the basis can go up. Typically, if let's say you make capital improvements. So, using that same example I gave you, so you bought the house for $250,000. Then a few years down the road, you spent $50,000 remodeling the kitchen, and then you later sell the house after the remodel for $450,000. So again, you bought it for 250, you spend another 50 on the kitchen, and then you sell it for 450. Well, there you're going to have a capital gain, but here the capital gain is going to be less than in that first example I gave. It's only going to be $150,000 because the 250 you paid for the house, you add that is your starting basis. You add to that the 50,000 you spent on the kitchen. Now your basis is 300,000. You sell it for 450. 450 minus 300 is $150,000. So then the next question is, okay, we've kind of sort of figured out how to compute the amount of the gain. Well, what's the tax going to be? The federal tax we're talking about. Well, most people fall in a 15% capital gains rate. So in the two examples I just gave, the first example, if it was a $200,000 gain, 15% of that would be a $30,000 tax hit. In the second example, after the kitchen remodel, where the gain was $150,000, the tax would be $22,500. So not an insignificant sum. Now, what if you don't sell the house, but instead you hold it until you die, and then you pass it on to your heirs? And let's say your heirs later sell it after you die. Will they have to pay the same capital gains tax that you would have to pay if you sell it before you die? The good news is no. No, they will not. Because when someone inherits an asset like, let's say, real estate, the property's basis, the tax basis, is adjusted to what's called the date of death value, what it was worth on the date of death. And since most property tends to go up in value over time and not down, we often will refer to that basis adjustment as a step up in basis to increase it or step it up. And so this would end up resulting in a reduction or possible elimination of capital gains tax that would be owned by the beneficiary. So let's play out a couple of scenarios. Let's say that the property is worth $400,000 when you die. Let's use that example. And the beneficiary who inherits the property sells it one day later after your death and sells it for the same $400,000 that it was worth the day prior on the date of death. In that situation, no capital gains tax would be due because the basis in the property, $400,000, that was adjusted to the date of death value, and what it was sold for, $400,000, is the same number, no tax. Now, let's sort of modify that. Let's say instead of selling the property one day later, the beneficiary sells it 2 years later. And over the course of that 2 years, the property has increased in value from the $400,000 it was worth on the date of death to $425,000. So it goes up by $25,000 over the course of that 2 years. Well, in that situation, a capital gains tax will be due based on the $25,000 in value that the property went up from the time of death to the time of sale 2 years later. One other point about inheriting a house. If the beneficiary lives in the house after your death for at least 2 years before they sell it, well, there may very well not be any capital gains tax because there is a tax break where they can exclude up to $250,000 of the capital gain from their taxes. So as long as it didn't go up by more than $250,000 over that, let's say, 2-year period, no capital gains. And oh, by the way, if that inherited beneficiary is married, you can double that exclusion from the tax break. You can double it to $500,000. And let me real quick talk about one other scenario. Let's say you don't want to sell the house now, but you do want to give it to your loved one, your beneficiary. And let's say you don't want your beneficiary to have to wait until you die to get it. You want to give it to them now. So you go ahead and give it to them now. You make a gift of the house while you're living. Well, what are the capital gains ramifications? Well, not good, not good. Back to my first example I gave where you originally bought the house for $250,000 many years ago. As I said, that's your starting basis in the property. Then when you make a gift of the house while you're still living, the recipient of the gift takes over your original basis in the property. So that 250 basis, that then becomes their basis in the property once they receive the gift, which means when they later sell it, they'll have to pay the same capital gains tax you would have to pay if you sold it while living. So as you can see, there's a real benefit to holding the property until you die and passing it on as an inheritance. So bottom line, be careful not to underestimate the impact of capital gains tax on inherited property. The actual capital gains tax rate will depend on the length of time that you held it before you sold it. So, by the way, with proper planning, you can minimize, maybe even avoid high capital gains taxes on assets you inherit. So if you're going to be inheriting assets or property or anticipate an inheritance in the future, getting the advice of an experienced estate planning attorney is invaluable. If you'd like to know a little bit more about sort of how capital gains taxes works with inherited property, inherited assets, that sort of thing, and if you'd like to know maybe if we could help, we'd love to talk to you. So we invite you to schedule an initial phone call that we call our discovery call. It's a 15-minute phone call, a complimentary, a call with our staff, and scheduling is easy. Okay, so just go to our website is one way, legacyplanninglawgroup.com. Click on the button that says book your free call. You can't miss it on the homepage and other interior pages. If you're seeing this video, by the way, on Facebook, then popping up now at the bottom of this video is a link. It's a clickable link. Click on it. Both ways take you to our booking calendar. Pick the day and time that works for you. We'll get the conversation started. Hey, do like and share the video if you would. And also subscribe. I mentioned YouTube. We have a very active YouTube channel, a lot of video content, putting up more content all the time. Go ahead and subscribe. So I hope you've enjoyed this talk about whether you have to pay capital gains tax on property that you inherit. Like I said, I'm going to give another talk next Thursday as part of our Thirsty Thursday series. So if you're thirsting for knowledge, will quench your thirst. So, Bill O'Leary, I'm going to sign off for now. Go make it a great day and a better world.